The spotlight hit the center of the stage as Max Levchin stepped forward. He placed his hand on the surface of a tablet, the glass catching the overhead lights. He leaned into the microphone, his voice steady and low. The future of commerce is not a search bar. It is an agent. He pulled back, watching the room. The audience remained perfectly still. No applause, no murmurs, just a heavy, expectant silence that stretched across the auditorium. He did not rush to fill the void. He let the words hang in the air, forcing the room to grapple with the implications. Behind him, the massive display board flickered once. A single word appeared in stark white letters against the dark screen. Agentic. He gestured toward the word, his eyes scanning the front row. It was a simple transition, but it carried the weight of an era coming to an end. The checkout button as the world knew it was obsolete. The silence in the room began to shift, turning into a collective realization that the landscape of the global market had just been rewritten in a single sentence. Miles away from the stage, the reality of commerce remained far from seamless. In a small apartment, the blue light of a laptop screen illuminated a face etched with fatigue. Sarah sat hunched, her eyes darting across a sea of 30 open browser tabs. Each window represented a different vendor, a different price, or a different set of conflicting specs. She clicked on a link, scrolled to the bottom of the page, and closed it. The chair she needed was either out of stock, too expensive, or shipping from across the ocean. With a 3-week delay, her fingers tapped a nervous rhythm against the edge of the desk. She clicked another tab, only to be greeted by a pop-up ad that obscured the product description. She clicked to close it, but the page refreshed, adding a new layer of clutter. The desktop was a graveyard of abandoned research. She had been searching for hours, yet the perfect ergonomic chair remained elusive. Her neck ached from the hunched posture. She reached for a glass of water, her hand trembling slightly from the strain. She looked at the clock, then back at the blinking cursor, feeling the weight of the endless, manual grind that defined the current way of buying. Sarah stopped clicking. She pressed the escape key, clearing the pop-ups, and wiped her palms on her lap. She took a breath and moved her cursor to the browser search bar. She typed a single string of text. Find me the best chair under $500 that ships by Friday and offers monthly payments. She hit enter. The 30 open tabs did not multiply. They did not flicker. Instead, the browser interface shifted. A clean white sidebar slid out from the right side of the screen. The chaos of the previous hours vanished. 3 options appeared, neatly stacked. The AI had already filtered out the out-of-stock items and the long-distance shippers. One chair sat at the top, highlighted in a soft, subtle glow. A small box next to the image detailed its lumbar support specs, matching her specific physical needs. The screen felt lighter, the information density reduced from a wall of noise to a single, actionable choice. She leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand, watching the sidebar remain perfectly still. The data was processed, the research was complete, and the solution was waiting. The struggle had been replaced by a quiet, immediate resolution. Sarah examined the highlighted chair. Below the image, the interface displayed a calculated monthly payment schedule, already synchronized with her known financial limits. She did not have to enter card numbers, verify shipping addresses, or navigate to a separate checkout portal. The AI had already established the trust protocol. Beneath the payment breakdown, a single button glowed. Confirm. Her finger hovered over the trackpad. She clicked. The screen transitioned instantly to a status page. "Order placed" appeared in crisp, black text. A confirmation number generated beneath it, followed by a delivery estimate for Friday. She pulled her hand back from the laptop. The process had taken less time than it took to read the product name. This was no longer a matter of searching, comparing, or debating the logistics of the transaction. The AI had handled the credit risk, the shipping verification, and the payment terms in a single, silent cycle. Sarah closed the laptop lid. The screen went dark. The machine had acted on her behalf, turning a multi-hour ordeal into a one-click interaction. She stood up from the desk, the room quiet, the task finished before she even had to think about the friction of the checkout process. The decision was made by the code, not the shopper. At Affirm headquarters, the reality of this efficiency looks like a wall of shifting code. Engineers work in silence, feeding the latest language models into the core payment backend. This is not about keywords anymore. It is about deep, structural intent. The system monitors live market data, fluctuating shipping logistics, and individual credit risk profiles simultaneously. Every query acts as a trigger. When a user requests a high-end camera, the agent does not merely display search results. It launches a rapid-fire sequence. It cross-references reviews from across the web, verifies current stock levels in real time, and compares pricing across 10 distinct platforms. Inside the server racks, these calculations happen in milliseconds. The model assesses the risk of the loan, validates the shipping route, and pulls the financing offer that fits the user's specific budget. It is a constant, automated audit of the global marketplace. The engineers watch the monitors as the system synthesizes chaos into a singular, optimized outcome. No human could process these variables at this speed. The backend has become a predictive engine, turning raw data into a closed transaction before the consumer even realizes the work has begun. It is a seamless, invisible layer of intelligence operating beneath every click. The marketplace is hardening. For brands, the era of visual appeal and direct consumer marketing is losing its leverage. If a company cannot speak the language of the agent, it ceases to exist in the digital feed. The agents do not care about logos or clever slogans. They care about structured data, machine-readable APIs, and clear, algorithmic signals. Retailers are scrambling to rebuild their entire digital infrastructure. They are stripping away the complex, human-centric layers of their websites to provide clean, direct pipelines for AI to ingest. If a brand fails to make its inventory agent readable, it is effectively invisible. It does not appear in the sidebar of choices. It does not get compared. It does not exist in the decision-making process of the autonomous shopper. This is a binary outcome. You are either integrated into the agent network, or you are outside the flow of commerce entirely. The race is on to build these connections. Every hour, a brand remains disconnected. They lose access to the millions of automated decisions being made every second. The architecture of the internet is being rewritten to prioritize machine-to-machine communication. Those that do not adapt are not just losing sales, they are being edited out of the global economy. The mandate is absolute. The physical act of clicking a button is becoming a remnant of history. For decades, the add-to-cart icon served as the primary gatekeeper of consumer choice. Now, that icon is gathering digital dust. It is being bypassed entirely. Agents no longer wait for a user to navigate a site, find a product page, and trigger a manual event. Instead, the agent initiates the process from the outside in. It scans 10 platforms in the time it takes a human to blink. It evaluates stock levels, pricing fluctuations, and shipping windows across every vendor simultaneously. The agent does not click buttons. It negotiates directly with the backend database. It extracts the necessary data, verifies the inventory, and calculates the total cost before the consumer even sees a product image. The traditional checkout journey is collapsing. What was once a linear, multi-step process, select, add, review, pay, is now a single invisible event. The button is no longer a functional necessity. It is a relic. Brands that rely on the old interaction model find their pages bypassed by the sheer speed of algorithmic discovery. The interface is not just changing, it is disappearing. The era of manual intervention in the purchase loop has reached its end. The power dynamic has shifted from the consumer to the code. As these agents gain autonomy, they are no longer just tools for convenience. They are the new arbiters of economic fate. A brand is no longer judged by the quality of its marketing or the strength of its reputation, but by the criteria embedded within the agent's decision-making logic. If the agent prioritizes price, the low-margin provider wins. If it prioritizes reliability, the established giant secures the lead. The marketplace is no longer a level playing field. It is a series of black box evaluations happening in milliseconds. An agent determines which products appear in the top 3 results and which remain buried in the digital void. This is the new reality of competition. Brands are no longer fighting for the attention of a human shopper. They are fighting for the approval of an algorithm. Winners are crowned by the efficiency of their data, and losers are discarded without ever being seen. The agents are actively filtering reality, deciding which companies survive and which ones vanish. The competitive landscape is not just evolving, it is being dictated by the very entities designed to serve the consumer. Every transaction is a vote cast by a machine, and the weight of that vote is absolute. The tectonic plates of the global economy are grinding against each other. Beneath the surface of every digital transaction, the $100 billion payments industry is being hollowed out. Traditional gatekeepers, once essential to every credit check and fund transfer, are finding their functions absorbed into the silent, background logic of the agent. There is no friction left. There is no pause for approval. The infrastructure that once demanded manual oversight is now a self-correcting loop. Payments happen in the spaces between heartbeats. The massive, complex machinery of credit risk assessment, merchant settlement, and currency conversion is receding into the shadows. It is becoming an invisible layer of the internet, as fundamental and unnoticed as electricity in the walls. Brands are no longer negotiating with banks. They are submitting their data to be consumed by the network. The financial friction that defined consumer behavior for decades is evaporating. Every dollar moved, every loan approved, and every debt settled now occurs without a single keystroke. The entire industry is undergoing a violent, quiet metamorphosis. What once occupied the center of the consumer experience has been relegated to the background, functioning perfectly and entirely out of sight. The world of commerce has finally shed its skin. Friday morning, a heavy cardboard box sits on the doorstep. Sarah carries it inside and cuts the tape. She pulls out the chair, the exact model she needed, already assembled to her lumbar specifications. She looks at the box and pauses. She tries to recall the hours she used to spend scouring reviews, comparing prices, and stressing over payment forms. The memory is there, but it feels like a relic from a different era. While she was sleeping, the agent had already filed the warranty, verified the delivery window, and finalized the payment schedule. She sits down. The chair is perfect. There was no checkout page. There was no confirm purchase button to click. There was no friction. The entire process of acquisition had simply ceased to be a task. It had become a background function, as seamless as breathing. The old world of shopping, the endless tabs, the cart, the anxiety of clicking buy has been erased. Commerce has retreated into the architecture of the machine. It is silent, it is autonomous, and it is absolute. The checkout is dead. The future is not a destination, it is a background process that just happens.